Do you want to know the hidden truths and secrets about what football boots pros are actually wearing on their feet? Well, strap yourselves in for a massive myth-busting, secret-revealing and fact-finding video on what cleats players wear, and yes, we've already covered this topic before, but this is 2018, so we'll feature more players and more secrets than ever before in this episode, so stay tuned. And before I kick things off, I would appreciate if you could smash the like button. If we hit the target of 5,000 likes, I will definitely cover this topic again. Truth number 1. Pro players on occasions wear completely different boots to what they market. Although this has been seen by many football brands, the likes of Nike and Adidas do this the most with their headline contracted footballers. For example, when Adidas launched their new speed silo, the X18 in May 2018, they showed their stars that wear that range holding the X18 Plus silo, even though some of them wear the cheaper X18.1 boot. Here you can see Marcelo and Benzema holding the X18 Plus when actually they wear the X18.1, a completely different boot. Here's Marcelo wearing the latest X18 Plus in a photo. Here's Timo Werner holding the Plus model, and N'Golo Kante wearing the same boots, even though all of these players mentioned wear the latest 18.1 version. The same goes for the Predator and Nemesis by Adidas. All these players shown here don't actually wear the boot they are holding or wearing in photo shoots. I guess this is Adidas just trying to push their more expensive Plus lines to the public. World-class marketing by Adidas, but something the average consumer probably does not care too much about. Adidas have improved this by the fact that Leo Messi is seen here posing in photo shoots holding the Nemesis 18.1, and this is actually, yes, the boot he wears on the pitch, so no false advertising seen here. But on previous occasions, he would market his Messi Plus silo but wear the cheaper 0.1 boot. A more unique case was when Adidas had given a pair of X17.1 Deadly Stripe boots to the British Museum to be showcased in their Egyptian collection after Mo Salah was awarded the 2017-18 PFA Player of the Year award. The problem here was that Mo Salah himself wore the X17 Plus Pure Speed all season, which is a completely different boot. What would have been great would be to see a player-worn boot which had mud and grass on the sole. The next truth is all about brand consistency. When football clubs release their new kits for the next season, they'll more likely only feature the players that have contracts with the club's kit supplier. For example, when Arsenal released their new home kit for the 2018-19 season, they had Hector Bellerin in the centre of the image. Why have him when you have the likes of Ozil, Aubameyang and Mkhitaryan at your disposal? Because he has a boot deal with Puma. You can even see Puma trying to hide the other players' boots behind objects, tactical but seen everywhere. Here's other examples of the same tactic. Chelsea hide their Adidas players at the back, while Manchester United only feature their Adidas contracted footballers in their photo shoots. Surely there are bigger players than the likes of Mata, Blind and Young. In this shot, New Balance faded their Liverpool players' boots in this reveal, and Under Armour just said stuff it, we'll show everyone's boots because no one wears our boots. Nike back then and now often decide to cut the boots out completely in their reveals. Perhaps the best example is when Puma tried to hide the Burnley players' feet with fake mist. There are countless times this has happened purely for brand consistency. The next truth reveals that most world-class professionals have their own custom boots. Now, you would most likely have known that most top-level footballers have their own custom molds and specifications with boots, but some players take that to the extreme, including Leo Messi, Bale, Iniesta, Neymar, and many more. As mentioned earlier, we know Leo Messi markets his own Nemesis 18.1 line, which is clearly not false advertising, but most of you will not know is that he doesn't actually wear that precise boot construction on pitch. Pictured here is Messi's specific Nemesis version, which yes does feature the boot's trademark upper material with the agility bandage, but is cut at a completely different angle. The bandage system on a retail or mass produced version is designed to lock your foot into the shoe, featuring no gaps in the upper whatsoever, but Messi's silo is cut on the side like a burrito tongue. So for those of you that thought you had the exact same boots Messi had, well then I'm sorry, but you're not at all. And perhaps vote in the poll card now and tell us if you would prefer Messi's monotongue Nemesis or the standard Nemesis version. Another bad example from Adidas is seen here with Gareth Bale, who will market the X18 Plus but wear the cheaper X18.1. And as well as that, he will also utilize a custom upper material on his X18.1 silo. Bale himself definitely did this for the X17.1. He would market the X17 Plus Pure Speed but wear his own custom X17.1. Real Madrid teammate Marcelo was also known to customizing the upper material on his boots as well. And now on to Neymar, who Nike now have the Brazilian superstar actually wearing what he markets, the Vapor 360, but years ago, Nike had him as the headline Hyperden wearer, which he liked the first generation, but come second generation, he had Nike create a Vapor 10 to look like the Hyperden. This was probably the worst example of players wearing custom or camouflage boots. Puma have had trouble with their headline athlete Marco Reus, who markets the future solo, but on pitch he has decided that he does not need the laces in his cleats. This is such a mad decision considering the future football boot offers one of the most unique lacing systems, that being its external net fit technology. Those are just some bad examples, and here are some more. Here's Andres Iniesta opting for a leather upper on his Just Do It Magista Obre boots. The standard retail version has a Kangalite synthetic upper. The likes of Mats Hummels and many more Adidas Predator wearers opt for a leather construction on their Predator rather than the prominent upper seen on the retail version. For a long time, Coutinho cut a hole in the back of his boots and wore a leather portion at the back of his Vapors to accommodate his bad heels. Luka Modric cuts his collar on his Vapors for more ease of movement. Like CR7, Leroy Sané has been known to have his Superfly collar shortened. These are just some of many players customizing their boots to suit their needs. Next we talk about how and why a particular player signs a boot deal with a particular brand. Now most of you will be thinking that players wear the exact boot they want on the market and then sign a boot deal with that brand. That is far from the truth, and most footballers actually sign boot deals based on how much each brand is willing to pay them. A great example of this is Paul Pogba. When he was playing at Juventus, he was wearing Nike football boots, but then all of a sudden he was wearing Adidas boots, and weeks later he signed for Manchester United, who funny enough have the kits supplied by Adidas. You'll see Pogba in every pack launch wearing and holding the Predator, and he will also market his fashion line as well. So yes, brands like Adidas and Nike like to tie in the biggest players to their silos so they can get the most brand exposure as possible. Paulo Dybala is another good example of players signing for the money. Maybe a year ago, Dybala wore a total of 3 different brands including Nike, Adidas and Puma, chopping and changing between blackout boots from those brands. And just recently, Adidas announced they had signed the Argentine forward and tied him in with their Glitch Silo. No offense to the Glitch, but it's certainly not the highest performing boot on the market, actually far from it. So then it must be a case of Adidas paying the player huge amounts to front that boot. There are countless cases of all brands paying players more by tying in headline players for their particular boot ranges. Nike tie in Robert Lewandowski to their Hyperdim, Ramos to their Tempo, De Bruyne to their Magista, and Ronaldo and Neymar to their Superfly and Vapor. Adidas tie in Pogba to their Predator, Dybala with their Glitch, Salah to their X, and Messi to their Nemesis. Puma even just announced their signing of Lukaku to their One Solo, which makes sense. I think everyone is going to want to try the Puma one now. Hilariously, Puma even signed Balotelli, thinking he'll be the next superstar for them, but I guess this is an example of a boot deal gone wrong. Come on, just look at these boots, they are horrific. The next topic is clauses and bonuses and boot deals. Now the likes of Ronaldo winning 3 Champions Leagues in a row would mean Nike bump up his contract with the brand by offering performance bonuses. Acting just like a normal club contract, players that do better, say Mo Salah scoring 30 goals in the 2017-18 season wearing Adidas's X17 Plus Pure Speed, would have seen him reap the rewards with Adidas in his boot deal. He'd now be considered to be one of Adidas's biggest players, and his boot deal will and thus match his popularity and demand. Players like Ronaldo and Salah will be placed in a high bracket of athletes, whereas most professional footballers will be paid less for their boot deals. This is exactly why tying in a big player for a particular boot silo is so important for product sales. And when a player's boot contract expires with a brand, you'll most likely see them wear blacked out football boots. Here's Eric Bailly wearing blacked out Tempos. Here's Willian wearing blacked out Vapors. Here's Jesse Rodriguez wearing blacked out Magistas. Samir Nasri wore these blacked out boots when his New Balance deal expired. Adnan Januzaj is seen here wearing blacked out X boots, and for over a year Dybala wore blacked out Superfly 5s because he had no tie-in with a boot deal. Sometimes you'll see headline players wearing blacked out boots in training, but that's a completely different kettle of fish, as they are most likely testing prototypes. And now onto the players who just don't care what they wear. Prior to signing with Puma, Lukaku wore over 10 different boot silos in the space of a year, including the X, Nemesis, Hyperdim, Predator, Vapor, and many more. The truth here is that some players either can't sign a new boot deal so they wear what they want, or some players just don't care at all. I remember Benoit Asuakoto wore and still does wear whatever he felt like wearing. The same goes with Wilfried Bony, pictured here wearing old school Vapors. He even messaged us on Instagram asking for old school boots. Here's Mexican keeper Guillermo Ochoa wearing a takedown Mercurial at the World Cup. And here's Senegal's Salif Sane wearing these wicked custom painted Vapors. Jerome Boateng often opts for multicolored laces on his Tempos, and even Paul Scholes wore a takedown Total 90 shoot when he made his return from Manchester United in 2012. Lucas Podolski received these insane custom X boots while playing in Japan, and Pogba had a run of wearing different brands and boots while at Juventus, and of course Toni Kroos has worn the same pair of boots for over 5 years. The truth here is that brands overall have very strict guidelines and restrictions when it comes to players wearing their boots, but you always have that odd player who just does not care at all. Next, we reveal the hidden truths behind player uptakes behind each silo. In Adidas's elite level lineup, roughly 45% of Adidas wearers in Europe's top 5 leagues wear the X, 40% wear the Predator, and just 5% wear the Nemesis. Of that 45% of X wearers, just 15% wear the more expensive X18 Plus, while the rest wear the X18.1, which is 85%. That is an astonishing fact and an example of what players prefer in a football boot. Adidas priced the X18 Plus at £50 more than the X18.1 and tying the likes of Salah, Suarez and Jesus. And thus that pushes boot sales for that silo, whereas the truth is that players like the X18.1 more, which is not pushed by Adidas in its marketing strategy. The same goes for Nike's collared boots. Roughly 25% of all Mercurial wearers wear the Superfly and 75% of all Mercurial wearers wear the Vapor 360. This is again a massive difference, and it really reveals the truth about how brands market and raise the price of some elite level boots just for product sales. Nike will raise the price of their collar boots by up to £30 because it just has an extended collar. The same goes with Adidas's Nemesis. There is a whopping £70 difference between the 18 Plus and the 18.1 just to have an added piece of collar and no laces. Absolutely absurd. Another revealing truth is that there are so many more professionals that have Nike boot contracts than any other brand. For example, the Mercurial Vapor 360 was the stand-up performer at the 2018 FIFA World Cup, scoring and assisting the most goals at the tournament. It may seem that Adidas or even Puma have lots of players tied down to boot contracts, but compared to Nike, no one comes close. So that is the video. Hopefully it will have helped you to understand the real truths behind the football boot industry and what your favourite footballers are actually wearing on their feet. Please comment below if you have any questions, turn on notifications, like this video, we need 5,000 likes for this video, and subscribe to see more awesome content like this. Thanks for watching, and as always, we'll see you next time.